Hi guys, my name is Sandra and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming the mid-year book tag. So it's just basically a series of questions talking about the books that I've read so far this year. I will be doing a video on my sort of top favourite books that I've read so far this year. But I thought I'd just do this tag because it's fun and it makes me think about things in relation to books that I never really would have considered had I not read the tag. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the questions from my phone, but I'll put the questions up on the screen. The best book I've read this year, without a doubt, is definitely Home Fire. Everything I know about love is sort of slipped its way in there, but definitely Home Fire is my favourite one. For me, it was just the book that left me the most shocked. I kept thinking about it. I still keep thinking about it. I thought it was written beautifully, and then it obviously went on to win the Women's Prize, so if that doesn't tell you it's great, what will? But yeah, definitely love that book. I don't really tend to read books in series. I actually just realised I tend to read a lot of standalone books, but this year I decided to finish up the Elena Ferrante series, which is her book about two girls who are from Naples. So the best one that I read this year, so I read the third and the fourth one, and the one I loved the most was Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay. I love this one just because it had the most action in it. It was at a really good point in the girls' lives. They were sort of transitioning from being young women to becoming mothers to developing their careers, and a lot of interesting things just happened in this book. The one book that I'm definitely looking forward to reading this year is I Am by Maggie O'Farrel. This book actually came out last year, towards the end of last year, but I just haven't got around to reading it. It's about the author's account of her brushes with death, basically, and the title was taken from a line in Sylvia Plath's poem, and for me that's just what got me. I'm just like, yes, I'm a huge fan of Sylvia Plath, so definitely I wanted to read this, but it's definitely received a lot of high praise and it just sounds like the kind of book that I would enjoy, especially because it's a true story, and I'm kind of intrigued at how many sort of brushes with death someone can have, but I definitely need to get around to reading it. My most anticipated release. I haven't really seen a lot of things I'm excited for this year. It's funny because I don't think I get that excited about new book releases now, mainly because I have a whole bunch of books in my basket that I need to purchase, and there's not really an author that I follow that closely that if they're about to release a new book I get really excited. Earlier this year I was really excited for Circe by Madeline, so if I had done the tag then that would have been my answer. But there is one book I'm looking forward to reading, and it's called Hold. It's by a guy named Michael Donkor. He's a Ghanaian author and this book is about Ghana and also London. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the book comes out very soon, so I think by the time this video goes up the book would actually come out. I pre-ordered it back in January, so I'm really excited for it. From what I remember, the story is about a Ghanaian house girl who gets sent from Kumasi, Ghana to help the daughter of a Ghanaian family in London who has grown really, I think she's just reserved and she's become really sullen, and they want this sort of house girl who's really lively and bubbly to sort of bring their daughter back to life. I think it's also a case of being able to show her the difference between this girl's life and her own life. I think I'm going to enjoy this book just because I see a lot of myself in the book. It's nice that the book talks about London. I've lived in London my whole life, I was born here, but it's also nice that the book is going to talk about Ghana because that's where my parents are from, that's where I'm from, so it's, yeah, a mixture of both worlds. Biggest disappointment has to definitely be The Valkyries by Paulo Coelho. I spoke about that in my most recent video, so I won't go over it again. The story was just trashed. I shouldn't say that's awful, but I have read about it some more since that video, and it was written before he released The Alchemist. I think at the time he'd actually written The Alchemist, but it wasn't on its way to being published or anything like that. By far, Lincoln in the Bardo has been the biggest surprise for me this year, especially if you watched my wrap-up videos from back then. I started off absolutely hating the book. I could not get on board with it. It was really hard to read, but then by consuming it through an audiobook I ended up really liking it. I think it's a phenomenal book. Favourite new author would definitely have to be Ursa Daly Ward. Even though I did discover her last year, so I'm kind of cheating, but just because she released another book this year, and that could have been my most anticipated release for this year, but again that's already gone past. But I just have seemed to have grown a huge love for her. I love her prose, I love her poetry, I just basically love what she's written so far. I don't really crush on people or characters or anything like that. So this question was a bit difficult, but if I had to pick someone, it would definitely have to be Want to Be or Want to Be from Norwegian Wood. I think he's a decent, solid guy. He'd treat you right. He'd probably be a bit boring, but you know, you can't have everything in life. A book that made me cry. I don't recall having cried this year. I probably have, but for me that's phenomenal. And I know when I was a lot younger, books did used to make me cry, but I haven't cried at any books this year. But if I was to pick a book that would have made me cry, it would be Home Fire. It was such an emotional read. Oh my goodness, it was such an emotional read, and I came away from it just like shocked. I've already said this before, but I was just like, oh my god, and it really stayed with me. It was really sad, and I was just like, oh my god. Also, Everything I Know About Love had a sad bit in it. I remember getting to the point in the book where something really bad happens, and I was on the plane. I was just like, I could like close the book and sit still for like a minute. So yeah, that made me sad. Would have made me cry if I had a heart. I do have a heart. For a book that made me happy, again, I would have to say Everything That I Know About Love. The actual original book that I put for the answer for this and that I'm really going to stick with is actually Relight My Fire by Joanna Bolouri, but this also is a strong contender because it made me laugh so much. I'm sticking with Relight My Fire because that book is hilarious. Anything Joanna writes to me is very, very funny. It just makes me laugh out loud, makes me feel great, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to read more from her this year. I'm not sure if she's going to publish another book this year. Actually, that's a lie what I said earlier about not waiting for authors' releases. I was really excited for Relight My Fire, and I do follow Joanna's like writing closely because I really, really do like her as a writer. I don't watch a lot of films. I can't even remember the last time I watched a film on Netflix because I don't really have the sort of patience for that. And the last one that I watched in cinema was Black Panther. I'm guessing that comes from a comic, so I feel like maybe that counts. Like, that's my answer. My favourite video I've done this year would have to either be the book review I did of Lincoln in the Bardo or The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. For some reason I just like sitting down doing like a single book review. In The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle I spoke way too much, but I still really liked the way the video came out. For Lincoln in the Bardo, I liked that video because I think it shows how consuming something in a different format might change your mind and how you feel about it. That's certainly what happened to me, so that's why I like that video, because it sort of shows how like innovation has played a sort of role in changing reading for people. Yeah, I just loved how I didn't like it in its traditional normal form, but I ended up loving it in a different format. I feel like this book is more aimed towards if you buy hardcovers, and I don't really buy hardcovers. They're expensive and they're heavy, and I don't really like them on my bookshelf. I don't even have them on my bookshelf. I had to stack them on top of my bookshelf. But I guess this counts as a book. It's not really a traditional book, but this, which is the Inner Beauty Bible, which is the notes that I've made. I've said this in the book that I hold it in, and then when I talked about it in my Wellbeing book, that it's just beautiful. The cover is stunning, the inside of the book is stunning, there's always just really nice pictures. I'm just opening pages at random, hoping it's going to be on a pretty page. This is a lovely one. This is a rose petal bath. Sometimes I do look at these things and think, what a complete waste of flowers, but I'm going to do that one day. But yeah, by far one of the most aesthetically pleasing books that I've bought so far this year. By the end of the year, I definitely need to have read The Immortalist, Big Magic and Fire Salmon. The Immortalist because it's been everywhere. It's published by Tinder Press, and someone I follow on Twitter read it, and I looked up what it was about, and I just really, really like the concept of it. If you don't know what the book is about, the book is basically about like if you could see how and when you were going to die, would you? And I think it follows that sort of premise of people who do look at it, who do choose that path and all that sort of stuff. I think it's a very interesting, like, I say moral question, I don't know, but it's a very interesting question. Like, would you, I don't know, because I feel like even if you do, your life is still like gonna go that way. So does it really matter if you already know? Like if I know like 10 years down the line, like, I don't know, I'm gonna have a huge like family, is it gonna change what I'm doing now? I don't know. But I'm just using that as a random example. I don't actually want to use anything that I want from my life as that example. Big Magic because it's by Elizabeth Gilbert and I really loved Eat, Pray, Love. I can't remember what other book that she wrote that I liked as well. But I feel like she writes those sort of, you know, inspiring books that makes you want to like change your life completely, and who doesn't need a bit of inspiration every now and then? I think it's probably a good book for me to read at this sort of current point in my life. Stay tuned for some changes coming. The final book I want to read is Fire Salmon because it is one that sounds so interesting. I love things that look at love and look at relationships and, you know, see what makes people tick. This book is about a woman who is, what it says, she's devoted to her children, she's devoted to her husband, and she's devoted to God. She starts writing to someone, I can't remember who now, but basically in what is originally just a sort of like an emotional affair leads to an actual physical affair, and it's basically looking at her affair, and obviously it's going to throw into question like her belief in religion, but also, you know, her devotion to her husband and to her kids, and why is she ruining her life. I think it's just very interesting to see what makes people do the things they do. Obviously this is a fictional novel, but still, it's still gonna be one that I read this year because I really want to read it. In terms of why I haven't read any of those books, I'm just waiting for the prices to go down. That's legit the only reason. Honestly, the books in my Amazon basket, I just buy them according to how cheap they are and how cheap I'm feeling at that point in time. So yeah, sometimes when I'm feeling really flush, I will walk into Waterstones and buy a book for £13, but other times your girl does not have that sort of funds. So that is it for this tag video. My next video is going to be a collection of my top books that I've read so far this year. I probably will just do books that I've given a rating of like 4 and 5. So I don't think there's going to be that many. I might throw in some 3s if it's a strong contender of a 3. So yeah, look out for that video. And yeah, I'm sorry this is all going up in July when the month ended in June, but technically that means I, you know, got to the end of the month and these are definitely my thoughts. Please do not forget to like this video, comment down below and subscribe, and I will catch you in my next video. Goodbye.